And in 3, 2, and 1. Welcome everybody to episode 31 of the Once Upon a Time in Spaghetti Westerns podcast. I am Spaghetti Westerns collector Jay Jennings.
And I'm Santa Claus, the man who came from the north.
I have that on DVD, by the way. Right. Oh, I thought you were White Bets.
He's outside. You wouldn't let him in the studio.
That's right. So it's our special show, our special Christmas show, and we're going to get the show started right away. First of all, I want to say that we're going to be taking the next, is it 2 weeks off, Tom?
2 weeks.
We're taking a 2-week vacation. Tom has decided he wants to go camping in Canada with the family, so they're getting...
1 week we'll get drunk, and the next week we'll recover.
Recovery, right.
That's right.
We're going to get the Winnebago. So anyway, we're just saying Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We get that out of the way to all our fans. 1,200 of you, by the way, and counting in just a 7th-month period. So thank you very much for that. Episode 31, Tom. I didn't think we'd make 31. It after episode 4.
Yep. Haven't missed a beat.
But we will 2 weeks from now. It's a forced one. Actually, we're here in California. Governor Newsom sent me an email, said, you boys need to take a 2-week vacation. And who am I to defy the good old governor, right, Tom?
That's right. The governor.
Right. Anyway, so we're going to move right along and do what we always do, Tom, and that's start the show with something special for our special Spaghetti Western star of the day. Tom, special opening.
Very good.
Whenever we have a special Spaghetti Western, yeah.
Was that Franco Nero?
Well, we have, Tom.
Oh, Jay, I've misunderstood you. When you said you were going to do a Franco show, I thought you meant Franco and Ciccio. I'm all prepared for Franco and Ciccio.
Oh, so for two karate kickers, some beans, and some...
Yeah, come on.
A bag of rice, right, Tom?
Our favorite comedians, of course.
Okay, you're right. You're right. I put the wrong opening in.
Oh, well, we'll have to wing it.
We'll wing it. So get ready, folks, for the best of Topo Gigio. It's all right? It's all right. It's okay? It's okay. So anyway, once again, we want to welcome you to the show. This is the Once Upon a Time in Spaghetti Westerns podcast, the only one of its kind that talks extremely and deep and to get to the bottom of the spaghetti Western genre like no other podcast. We boldly go where two old timers haven't gone before, right, Tom?
And we discuss everybody that no one's ever heard of. Yep.
And the famous. Like today, we saved up. We're talking about Franco, and last week we talked about Gianni Garco. So as I said, it is the spaghetti westerns of Franco Nero today, and we're going to talk about all his films that he made spaghetti western wise. I'm even going to throw in White Fang, Tom.
Thanks, Jay.
We debated. Tom drew when I drew a jack, Tom drew an ace. He won, so we get to show it. Anyway, for those of you who are watching, I guess it's high noon, 12 noon in California and the rest of Southern Cal, and then we move to the East Coast, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia. It's 3 p.m. And then we go to Europe, Tom. We go to Germany and Amsterdam. Which is, I'd like to one day visit once this nightmare is over. It is 9 o'clock. And then those of you in the UK, it is 8 p.m. So today we're talking about one of the greats in spaghetti westerns, Tom. Mr. Franco Nero has made a lot of other films, giallos, spy films. He's an icon in the industry. And you tell us a little about him while I show some early photos, Tom.
Okay, Doc. Franco Nero was born Francesco Clemente Giuseppe Sparanero on November 23rd, 1941, in Prospero, Parma, Italy. He grew up in Bologna and Milan. Nero's first film role was a small part in 1962's Pelle Viva. He was discovered by director John Huston and appeared in the Bible as Abel. His
Wow.
first, huh?
I remember that. I was
Remember
a
that?
kid watching the Bible. John Huston, Orson Welles, I think, wrote the original screenplay. John Huston did the narration. I saw it as a kid. Always tripped me out. The Adam and Eve, the Cain and Abel.
He's Abel.
And that's his first role, Tom?
His first major role, I would say.
Because it was Italian co-production.
Yeah, because he started in 62. The Bible was after that.
63, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Anyways, his first lead role was in Sergio Corbucci's 1966 Django. He turned down a sequel to go to Hollywood and appear as Lancelot in Camelot, where he met his future wife, Vanessa Redgrave. He's the father of producer, director, writer Carlo Gabriel Nero. Nero went on to make over 220 films. What I noticed, Jay, is he'll make all kinds of films, different genres, cheap films, expensive films. He'll work for unknown directors to give him a shot and some recognition. So he's all over the place.
Right.
Making films. I guess he just likes to work. So he produced 15 films and he wrote and directed 3. He's gone on to be an international film star and one of the last of the living icons of the 1960s Italian film industry. He's also known for his appearances in Die Hard 2, John Wick Chapter 2, and Django Unchained. Nero has said he enjoyed working with Eli Wallach in several films and had such a close relationship with Anthony Quinn that he actually called him Dad. So it's funny. It's fun to watch a movie if you don't watch the opening credits or he's got a small role and all of a sudden he pops up. I know I watched John Wick Chapter 2 and all of a sudden, hey, it's Franco Nero. You know, he's so recognizable, but didn't expect him to be in certain films.
Oh, anytime a classic, legendary star, Tom, who's past his, famed years, it all comes to everyone who's ever acted before. Kirk Douglas, James Coburn, leading men in the 40s and 50s, and then as the 60s and 70s came, they played, either second fiddle or the roles didn't come. But whenever they appeared in a film, it was awesome because maybe that's the best scene in the film. Franco Nero films, spaghetti westerns. I think he's playing almost Django in almost every movie. That's just between you and me and 1,200 other people who watch this broadcast, Tom.
I think so too. I mean, he's like Eastwood. Eastwood can't play anybody but Eastwood. Even when he plays to play a country hick or something, he's still Clint Eastwood. You still wait for him to break out. That's what I was so disappointed in that last film that he did, The Mule, because I kept thinking, God, at the end, he's going to turn over to the FBI and squeal on these drug dealers, and they're going to go in and kick ass like he used to in the 60s and 70s,
Oh, yeah. Well, what's that film that he's in? It's brilliant, Academy Award considering, where he befriends that girl in that gang-infested area, and he drives a nice car.
The one about the car named after the car.
The name of the car, Tom.
Yeah, Gran Torino.
Right. That we kind of told you that from now on, Clint doesn't get to kill the bad guys.
Right.
Because at the end, he takes a bullet, so to speak, for the gang or the neighborhood, and it's like, wait a minute, the old Clint, there would be Charles Bronson next to him, Lee Marvin, all kicking ass instead of just taking second fiddle and dying for the cause.
Yeah, it would have been the Expendables show up, and they all would have kicked those guys out of the neighborhood.
Isn't Franco Nero? Didn't he make a cameo in one of the Expendables? Tom?
He could have. I don't know. I've only seen like 1 or 2 of them.
Anyway, Tom, I was going to tell you as we look through the films of the great Franco Nero today, who, by the way, I think he's aware of this podcast, Tom, between you and me. I've heard through the grapevine. So either he was told about this particular show or he's caught a past one. So let's keep our fingers crossed for future shows that can involve either him or
Maybe if
Enzo.
he's seen a podcast, Jay, he won't be on the podcast.
Right. This is crap.
Good news, bad news. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, Keoma, Tom, I reevaluated it because it wasn't one of my favorites. It was
Yeah,
almost I put it almost with your Modulo or
yeah.
Little Rita. You're saying you're crazy. No, when I was younger, I did. Django with a full beard, looking like my creepy uncle. I couldn't get over it as a teenager, but as an old man now, Tom, the 1, 2, 3, 4. I see
Yeah.
4 coffins or 4 bodies. We know that's Enzo's, Tom.
Well,
Um,
I'm surprised that this hasn't shown up more lately with the pandemic, because the whole movie bases around a plague, and I mean it would
right.
fit right in with today's world predicament.
Absolutely. So I reassessed it, Tom. I also, I've told you I've reassessed a couple other things against my Little Rita will never be reassessed till the real version comes out, cutting out Rita, cutting out the star of the movie. I will not be a fan. Uh, but anyway, let's still look through some of the great portraits of Mr. Franco Nero. What was I talking about? Um, films that I've reassessed, Tom.
Reassessed, yes.
I've reassessed some of the Zorro movies with Sean Todd or Sean Flynn. Uh, Zorro in the Court of Tom
Spain
Betts.
and England, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, they're not bad. They're fun little Spanish spaghetti westerns. 1 or 2 might be in English. I also have reassessed, and my German fans are going to love me even more. I've reassessed the Carl May 1 or 2 films, Tom. I was not a fan. It was tough to watch. But now I'm giving Lex Barker and Mario Adorf
And Pierre
and
Brice.
Dan Martin and Tony Steffens. I'm giving them all their due. I've got some really nice prints, and
Oh
I
yeah, they're
put them
fantastic
on.
prints. I mean, that's what caught my
Wow.
eye. The
Those
other
are
thing
fun
is,
movies. So I take it back. I am now a Winner 2 fan. I've got the complete collection.
hey, you have to watch those. Like we said, you have to watch Django in a 1960s frame of mind. You have to
Right.
watch the Winnetou films as a 12-year-old at a theater, going just crazy over these westerns on the big westerns on the screen.
Right. But anyway, I prefer them in stuff like The Mercenary and Companeros. Uh, Stuff getting back to our topic at hand. And great look. He's got the 70s porn stash. You got the great Tony Musanti. Or is that, I'm sorry, am I mixing Mercenary with,
Mercenaries Musante and Companeros is Milian.
yeah. So anyway, so great film as always. He kind of looks like Vig Mortensen in that.
Well,
Right?
the thing that they did with him, because he always basically, from the English versions I've seen, it's his own voice, but he's got the Italian accent, so they try and cover it up by him always playing some foreigner, Kowalski or a German or a Hungarian or something, to disguise the accent.
I think Tony Musanti steals the show in
Oh
The
yeah, yeah.
Mercenary. I mean, that's just great because has such a range as an actor.
Hmm.
Um, I enjoy anything that he's in. Okay, let's see what other photos we've shown. Okay, well we'll do the last. That's what he was known for, Franco Nero, the glare, like Anthony Steffens and Craig Hill, and a bunch of the other stars who are known for just that rugged look, and they become the caped crusader with a hat, a
Yep.
poncho, dressed in black. Uh,
Take no
in
guff.
in Garco's case, he had a white cape and a parrot. So anyway, that's the look that got him famous. I mean, but you notice the thing that threw me off about spaghetti westerns, Tom? We've never discussed, well, at least on my end, I'm always praising it. I would have liked if they used the same actors who dubbed, who like we're accustomed to, like the same guy who did Django would done all
Yeah,
Franco
right.
Nero films. Same with any, but that back in the day, listen, I love the fact that they dubbed him and they watched him and got the
Yeah, the,
Foley out and made the sound effects. But at least they would have hired the same voiceover actors. So I go, okay, cool. Like, for example, Steve Reeves, the great Steve Reeves, Long Ride from Hell, who I actually like better in The Thief of Baghdad, Tom.
hmm
Oh, where he
hmm
floats in the sky on a unicorn to find the blue rose, Tom.
the Blue
But
Rose.
anyway, great sword and sandal flick. He was also Hercules, also known more famously.
Well,
But
we've talked about Klaus Kinski voice. His voice
it's
changes
20
almost
different
every
voices.
film.
I want to
Yeah.
hear Klaus's own voice
Yep.
in every film, Tom.
Yep.
Anyway,
Screaming and
Tom,
yelling. Exactly.
what's the first the spaghetti western pre Django we were discussing?
Yeah. Well, it's the Tramplers because in this film, directed by Albert Band from 1966, he's listed down the road in the credits,
There
and
he
he
is.
goes by
What is he? Fifth or sixth billing, Tom?
yeah, he goes by Frank Nero, not Franco Nero, Frank Nero, and he plays almost a cameo in this. This film's about it's almost a cousin of the Hellbenders. After the Civil War, Temple Cordine, played by Joseph Cotton, who owns thousands of acres in Texas, rules his numerous and quarrelsome sons with an iron hand. He sends them out to deal with the threat of the carpetbaggers from the north. However, not all the sons share their father's unlimited hatred for the Northerners, and they find it increasingly difficult to obey his despotic commands. Sounds like Governor Newsom. To add to the family's unrest, a prodigal son, Lon, played by Gordon Scott, decides to return to the fold, provoking the youngest son, Hobie, played by James Mitchum, to leave with him. Nero plays Charlie Garvin in almost a cameo role. His character wants to marry Emma Cordine, but Temple disapproves, so the two go and live with Lon and Hobie. And that's on DVD. But he's got a very small role in this film. He's clean shaven, hasn't got the 3-day shadow or the growth, and he plays a minor role in the film.
Okay, Tom. And then a minor role, but still nice and handsome, right, Tom?
Yep, which probably led to Django.
Same thing for Terrence Hill because of his good looks, Tom.
Yeah.
Which, ironically, one thing I love about spaghetti westerns. What's the next film, by the way?
Django.
Okay, hold on. So quite the start to go from the Tramplers to your own starring role. They were looking for someone, and wasn't also Terrence Hill considered for the original too, Tom?
The original guy was supposed to have been Mark Damon,
Oh
who
yeah.
was involved. I've read lately that he was involved in the story line, but he was busy doing something else, and I'm sure he passed on this thinking, I don't know if I want to make a movie like this or not. It went against his clean boy image, but Mark Damon was one of the first ones to be picked for this role, but Franco got it. I think there was like Peter Martell, Mark Damon, and Franco Nero. Nero says that they had pictures of them in costume that they gave to the producer, and the producer is the one that picked Nero for the role.
Well, I have those pictures in my collection, Tom.
There you go. So there are different versions of how he got the role.
Anyway, this is a reissue from my collection, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Still tough to find. It comes in 3. There's him dragging the coffin, him sitting next to the coffin, and then him with just his eyes. I went for this one. When you have so many posters, you got to pick and choose when you get old and gray, Tom.
Yep.
But this sums up what the film's about.
Yeah.
A guy drags the coffin. It's what a great opening in history. You have the Touch of Evil uninterrupted shot, and you have Gone with the Wind shots, but down, 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 down. And then Elvis comes in, which we've discussed. They actually did get Elvis, exactly. For those of you who sent me emails. That was Elvis. Django. He took some time off after, what was it? What film was it? A Blue Hawaii or something?
Probably.
I want to record this song called
Weekend
Django.
Or whatever. Yeah.
But no, that started the trend of American singers or foreign singers trying to adapt an American dialect, ripping off a Victor Moan or an Elvis and trying to do that, Phil Tom Betts voice.
I think after Fistful of Dollars, which opened up the door for spaghetti westerns, this one really anchored it as far as being brutal, different. And, go see any spaghetti western that comes along because it might be another Django.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, Tom, next, it was a great film. What did he follow it up with, Tom?
Well, then we go with Texas Audio because, as I said in the prologue, he turned down a sequel to Django and went to America to make Camelot. But he came back in 1966 and made Texas Adios, which was directed by Ferdinando Baldi, one of my favorite directors.
Tom,
And
it's basically a sequel to Django.
yeah, it is. He's dressed the same. He plays he plays a sheriff. Yeah, as Bert Sullivan, the sheriff of a border town. He heads for Mexico to settle an old score. As a boy, he had witnessed how his father was killed by a Mexican. In his quest for revenge, he is accompanied by his younger brother, Jim, played by Alberto Del Acqua, under the alias Cole Kitosh. Real quick here, I asked Alberto via message on Facebook where that name came from, and he said the producer of Texas Adios just gave it to him. That's what he wanted him to be known as in this particular film. The man they're looking for, Cisco Delgado, played by Jose Suarez, has become a local tyrant, but the plot thickens when he turns out to be the younger brother's father. While the younger brother is locked up with his father, Nero is escorted back to where he came from, but to the border. But at the border, his escort is attacked by a lawyer turned revolutionary and his men who are about to march against the oppressor. So Nero joins up with them, and the lawyer's played by, if I remember, Luigi Pistilli from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and Death Rides a Horse, and they go back and attack the holdings of Cisco Delgado and free the son. If you remember that his house in Spain, that is actually a cathedral. It's called Nuevo Bazan, and the Genius, Hills Run Red, and Return of the Seven, and part of The Mercenary were all filmed there in that courtyard. So that's where that building has been seen before. This is both on Blu-ray and DVD.
Of course it is, Tom. We can make a quick announcement. Next week's show, Tom.
There isn't any.
I thought we'd make it fun. I mentioned it to you a couple of weeks back. Well, we wait to hear from Enzo, right, Tom?
Yeah, right.
Just waiting to hear back. He's calling me soon. Maybe I'll do next week's show, Jay. I think, Tom, because this will be fun for the collectors out there, I thought we would do a show. And we did alternate titles, which was one of my favorite shows because you know I love alternate titles. Mm-hmm. 3 or 4 of them, 5 of them. The Eagle Will Eat Your Soul, or My Left Foot, just woke up my right foot, but now you're dead. That kind of stuff. I just find them campy and fun. But anyway, I think next Tom's waiting. Yes, and next week's show, Tom, is going to be hard to find spaghetti westerns. So I'm going to bring a bunch of trailers. That means ones that we haven't spoken about much. They're not available on DVD or Blu-ray, and if they're available in VHS, it's only in that country, in that language. But I have about 600 spaghetti westerns, Blu-rays, DVDs, 40 years of collecting, from Betamax to VHS to Super 8, Tom. So I thought, hey, one day I was going through my stuff, and I thought, why don't we do a show on if you could find these, grab them, hold on to them, make your own, copies and save them and put them away for your kids. Because for some odd reason, I know what you're saying, the guys at East or Eric, whoever else, go put these out. It's not really, they're doing the best what they can do. They'll get around to it eventually. So it's not really, it's not anything bad against them. But these are the ones that are kind of really tough to find, only in trading circles. So I thought that would be a fun show, Tom. What do you think?
That'd be fun, yeah. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah. Sure. But I didn't mean next week. I mean when we come back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, right. The next show.
Sorry about that, folks. So our first show for the new year will be hard to find spaghetti westerns. Anyway, back to our star of the day, Mr. Franco Nero. What was his next film, Tom, after Texas?
We're going to the Brood and the Beast, which we talked with. We learned that this was from Daniel Camargo, that this was George Hilton's first Western. And
one of my favorite posters too, Tom.
And again, what does he look like? He's Django,
Well, I look at it as that, and then he's joined by George Hilton and directed by the great, underappreciated Lucio Fulci. Not just an old man who made gore films, just like Jess Franco, underappreciated. Sometimes, even Ed Wood. I know you're saying, "Are you kidding?" No, watch his movies. They're film noir. Jailbait. Are you kidding me? So Miles deemed.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, my point is, uh, sometimes these films, Lucio Fulci made only a couple of spaghetti westerns, Tom.
Yep.
He mostly made horror
White
and
Fang.
giallo.
White Fang
And
movie.
right, Massacre Time, one of my favorite spaghetti westerns of all time. It's top 10. Tom, tell us a little about it.
Okay, well, this one's got a great score to it, and it's got that theme song, "A Man Alone." It starts out with Tom Corbett or slash Django, because we've said before, every movie that Franco Nero appeared in was named Django someplace. He's asked by a friend of the family to come home. The family farm is now property of the Scott family, and Tom's brother Jeff has become an alcoholic. That's George Hilton. Behind all this is Scott Jr., played by Nino Castronuevo, a bullwhip wielding psychopath. Jeff seems amused even when Tom is brutally tortured by Jr., but when the Indian woman who has raised him and Tom is killed, he decides to take up his guns and side with his brother during the final shootout. And that's one of the best revenge shootouts in the genre.
It certainly is, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
He's still trying to load the bullets while he's bleeding, and
Yep. Some of the
very
falls
wild
from
bunch.
some of the falls in that are really good.
I told you, Tom, if any spaghetti western could match up, this is my test, my meter. How does a spaghetti western hold up? I'm in actually film noir lighting today, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Dark shadow, don't know why. Anyway, if it could match up to The Wild Bunch, which is my second favorite movie of all time, if you can match up to The Wild Bunch, and most of these spaghetti westerns do, like Massacre Time. There's some violent ones with Fernando Sancho where he's the lead guy. He just goes around. People are tied up or sleeping, and he just goes and shoots them. How do you like that?
Yeah.
Those are the crazy spaghetti westerns that I dig. That's why I like The Mercenary and Run Man Run and Bullet for the General. That, and Little Rita. So anyway, Tom, if Little Rita had a mercenary type shootout, I would change my tune. Maybe I'll have to edit in my own scene.
There you go.
So I could watch it. Anyway, so after the Great Massacre Time, what followed, Tom?
We go to The Mercenary, also known as a professional gun and revenge of the gunfighter. And this one also has Jack Palance and Tony Musante and Giovanni Ralli, 1968, directed by Sergio Corbucci. And it's about a mercenary who teams up with a revolutionary and a peasant girl during the Mexican Revolution while being pursued by a hired gun. The Mexican revolutionary guy is Tony Musante. The girl is Giovanni Ralli, and the guy pursuing Franco Nero is Jack Palance, who plays Curly. And this one's a great one. This one's hard hitting. We'll talk about Companeros next, which is sort of like this, but it's more lighthearted. But this one's pretty violent and lots of action in it and hard hitting.
A lot of machine gun play, Tom.
Yep, it's on Blu-ray and DVD.
I love machine guns, Tom, in a spaghetti western. Gian Maria Volante, Lou Castel.
Well, that's the other thing we didn't mention. But other than playing the Django character in all of these, a lot of times he's got a machine gun that pops out someplace.
Yeah,
sort of like his trademark.
That was his trademark, Tom.
Yeah.
And inventive at the time. As I said, I don't know if all these spaghetti western directors, even though they were Italian, don't know if the Wild Wild West played, because Wild Wild West 64, 65, 66, don't know if they saw them because it's right out of that playbook. I bet it's a coincidence. Maybe unfair to give Wild Wild West all the credit, Tom, but the revolver or the Derringer out of the sleeve. Right,
aren't you a little bit surprised that they didn't latch on to Robert Conrad and bring him over and do a spaghetti western?
I always thought that, Tom. Maybe because he was too. I couldn't say he was too short. Because look at Craig Hill at 5'4" or 5'5",
Yeah.
But
or
Audie Murphy at 5'3", right, Tom?
Yeah, sure. Alex Cord isn't tall.
Alex Cord is Cord. Anyway, I gotta do that once per show, Tom.
They could have done a movie with Robert Conrad and as a takeoff. They did.
Well, he did do one semi-spaghetti western in the
That
late
was a Mexican
60s.
film. Yeah. And the first
And
time
the
I saw it, I thought it
poster,
was a spaghetti western. Yep.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Jan Michael Vincent's in it too, Tom. What's
Right.
it called? It's Robert Conrad's
Oh,
only
it's the same
venture
thing as the
into
yeah.
Euro westerns, Tom.
It's got the same title as the other as an Italian western one. I always got it confused because when I'd see it in the TV guide, I'd say, "Well, that's Conrad's not in that," but it's one where the guy's on a train and gets his hands run over, and he gets a. What is the name of that thing? He runs a circus with a sharpshooter.
Right.
And
the title escapes me. Someone will
yeah,
get
me
to it.
too.
Anyway.
But it's the same
So,
title.
okay, that's fine. So, Tom, what was the next film in the
Well, then
OVAR?
we go to like 2 years later to Companeros, and that's basically a takeoff on The Mercenary, but it's more lighthearted. And this one's got Tomas Milian as the revolutionary. Jack Palance reappears. Karen Schubert is the girl interest in this, and Franco Nero plays Yadlif, the Penguin Peterson. He's got a straw hat and he wears a black suit with a white shirt, so he looks like a penguin. That's what they nickname him. But this
No,
one
I'm
is
telling
about.
you. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to
Go
say,
ahead.
Tom, the poster, once again, one of my favorites because it's got a gun or a revolver. We've discussed the different posters, how some are take a snapshot taken from the film or two snapshots, others are sketched or charcoaled. Well, what did you like the best, Tom? These kind of posters?
No, I didn't care for these. These look too much like. Sorry, Jay. I like the gun pointing out like you do, more of the 3D or a
Right,
scene
where
from a
the
movie.
barrel is actually pointing at you.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I kind of like any gun, any big gun, like for example, John the Bastard or John il Bastardo.
yep.
It's him like doing a Brando pose with this
Well,
guy holding a
one of
revolver.
my favorite ones is you had it last week with the Garco issue. He's walking down the street and it's like the camera's in the ground. He's going to step on the camera. He's got his foot out to step on the camera with his guns drawn.
Right.
Those type of things are those the ones I really liked.
Anyway, with this one, Tom's got the famous Adios, Companeros.
Yep, at the
Um,
end.
yeah, great film. They put the three stars together. It works. I'd say to me, I like The Mercenary first, Run Man Run, Bullet for the General, and then Companeros. It's just my own opinion. I'm sure
Yep.
others put this
Well,
up there.
I was going to save this for the weekly news, but today is the 50th anniversary of Companeros appearing in Rome. So it's 50 years old today, this film.
Wow.
Yep.
Anyway, so we've talked about this on previous films, haven't we, Tom?
Yeah, we talked
For
about it
previous
because
films, previous
Palance is in
podcasts.
it. Overlooked, yep.
Oh, definitely overlooked. Maybe it's time to put out a revolutionary films, a spaghetti
Set.
western by one of the companies, Tom.
Put a box together of the
Right, I
revolutionary.
think there's 5 or 6 of them. It'd be great.
Yep.
Just an idea, just throwing it out there. Doesn't mean it has to happen. So what's the next film that he did?
Well, then
after
we
that,
move
Tom?
on to Long Live Your Death, also
Oh,
called Don't
okay.
Turn the Other Cheek, which is what I saw it under at Bill Connolly's apartment on a wall. And Lynn Redgrave sang the opening song, Don't Turn the Other Cheek. Yeah, it was animated.
Tom. The only way to watch "Live Long Your Death," which I prefer that title, is on a wall at Bill Connolly's house.
That's right. There it is. Now this is a comedy drama, but it works. Like you, I don't like comedy films. I don't know if this is because Eli was in it or what, but I mean it really works. It's got plenty of action and great acting, but the comedy is not over the top.
It's an underrated film, Tom.
Yeah,
Because
this is
look at
one that
that.
he doesn't really play Django in this one.
Right, and the Dusty Cesari,
Yep.
Eduardo Fajardo in a side role.
Yep. Horst
great
Jansen plays
poster.
that mechanical sheriff that's after them.
Tom, the poster supposed to be, I think, a little bit reminiscent of The
Good, the
Good,
Bad,
the
and the
Bad, and the
Ugly.
Ugly.
Yeah.
So you saw the promotion in that. Yeah, it's a good film, enjoyable. Not of the best, but at least you can get through it.
Yeah, it's on Blu-ray and DVD. The only bad part, not bad part, the drawback on this is the Lynn Redgrave's character. She plays this Irish reporter who gets involved, and she comes and goes, but her accent's a little bit too much.
She ain't Isadora in this, Tom.
Yeah, right.
For those who didn't know, this is not where she won
And
the Academy Award as a
yeah, and she
dancer or
wears a
something.
pair of glasses, so she's not really attractive. But Eduardo Fajardo makes her undress partially. He thinks she's great.
Was Nero married to her at the time?
No, that's her sister Vanessa that he was married
Oh,
to.
that's right. Sorry about that, Tom.
That's all right.
I always mix up the Redgrave sisters.
Well, I wonder if that's why that they got together on this. But because of Vanessa, did she say, "Well, I can't do it. Have Lynn do it. To do the role." So
Right.
again, questions.
So what was next after that film, Tom?
Well, then we go to Deaf Smith and Johnny Ears, 1972.
I wish I was Deaf Smith during that film,
this
Tom.
one may be the worst one. Well, no, I take it back. Second worst. We still got the worst one coming up.
Okay. Well, let me tell you my opinion. I saw this later in my spaghetti western
Yep, me too.
career, and I didn't know what to expect. Anthony Quinn is caught. I hope it wasn't Zorba the Greek meets meets Johnny Cool or something,
Yeah.
Or actually, that wouldn't have been bad. But yeah, this was pretty bad. I don't think he says a word.
Anthony Quinn plays Deaf Smith, who is a real character during the Texas Independence
But it didn't
days.
relate to film very well, Tom.
No, and the thing is, he and Nero get along well, and then all of a sudden, Pamela Tiffin, who recently passed away, comes in, and they throw the girl in there, and they separate.
This is
And
what
that's
you
where
call,
it loses me. Yep.
Tom, this is what you call a minor spaghetti western.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Big
But
names.
it's spaghetti western nonetheless. Does it have any good scenes that are memorable? Isn't there one where he's at the door?
They attack the fort. That's decent action in when they attack the fort with the machine gun and stuff like that. But other than that, no. And this on DVD if anybody wants to check it out.
Right. I think it's okay, and we'll leave that done. It's just one of the films of many. What was next, Tom?
Now we get into your favorite, White Fang.
No.
Directed by
It is a Lucio Fulci film.
Fulci, yes, you got it.
Think about this. Think about this. We're making a family film. We're going to get Django in it. Who can we get to direct it? I know. The king of Italian splatter gore.
Yeah.
Who's brought you zombies, hell on earth, blood flowing. For White Fang.
For White
Fang. I
Fang.
checked it out of curiosity. I got through 10 minutes, Tom. Unless did I miss a death or something evil occurring?
No, the best scene in it is on the poster, Jay, where they show the bear and the dog fighting. That's the best scene in the movie. Yeah. And it's got Verna Lisi's in it. Fernando Rey is in it. John Steiner's in it.
There's one of your favorite posters, Tom.
There's clean cut. There they are. Do dog fight. But it's only White Fang in name only because it's about White Fang, but he aids a young Indian boy named Mitza and a journalist named Jason Scott, played by Nero, in cleaning up a Canadian town in the Klondike. So it's really not. It's White Fang because it's the name of the dog. That's it.
How does it compare to Canadian Wilderness, Tom?
But it was Canadian, like the family film.
Well, there's a spaghetti western called Canadian Wilderness.
I don't know that. I don't recognize that one.
Okay, what was the other one then that I just picked up that I only got it because I'm a big Doug McClure fan?
Oh, that's that's the one with Doug McClure.
Alaskan Pipeline in the 1870s.
Something like, I know what you're talking about now. It's about the same type of thing. Rescue a kid
in a snowy forest.
Yep, the Gold Rush of Klondike. Yep.
I don't know why. It's so ironic how I'm showing the poster and film that I least like.
It's called Cry of the Black Wolves.
Oh, okay.
That's the Doug McClure movie.
Cry of the Black Wolves.
Cry of the Black Wolves. Yep.
I don't know it as that title. I think it's called Doug McClure Goes to the Alps. Anyway, what's the next? I hope it was a better film, Tom.
No, Jay. It's a sequel, Challenge to White Fang, directed by Lucio Fulci, with
Ooh.
again Franco Nero, Verna Lisi, Raymond Harmsdorf, Harry Carey Jr., and the most irritating kid in the westerns, Renato.
Gertrude,
Chesty.
could you throw on the next one?
There you go. Now, there's a little bit of a story in this one. This one's about Wolf Dog helps out in the struggle between honest men and criminals during the Alaska Gold Rush. This one I've read that Raymond Harmsdorf and Franco Nero had, I'm not saying they had a feud, but they were trying to outduel each other during the movie, sort of like Yul Brynner and Steve McQueen. Franco Nero would show up, and the next day, Raymond Harmsdorf would put lifts in his shoes to be a little bit taller than Franco. Franco would wear a hat, and so Raymond would wear a hat and put a feather in it to make his stand out more than Franco's. And this thing went on during the whole time that they filmed the movie. So that's the backstory on Challenge to White Fang.
Okay, let me get that off the screen ASAP. Oh, I did already. Okay. Yeah. Once again, let's get Fulci to direct a family movie. Hilarious. No, that's like getting Larry Flint to do, he has risen or something.
Yeah, remake of the Bible. Uh-huh.
Right. So, and they actually did, right? Guccione, Hustler. Didn't they do Caligula?
Yeah.
The question is, listen, we all know Malcolm McDowell knew what they were making, but did Sir John Gielgud? Oh, we're making one of those.
No way.
Anyway, what was next, Tom? What great
now
film followed?
This for me is the worst Franco Nero movie.
Cry Onion?
Yes. I hate to say it because Enzo directed and they think it's great.
Didn't you see this with Enzo sitting next to him?
I talked to him and he just looked at me like, "What are you saying?"
This is one of my greatest epics.
Cipolla Cult stands for Cry Onion, also known in the UK as the smell of onions. Well, it smells all right. This one has Franco Nero playing Cipolla Cult or Jack Onion Stark. Martin Balsam's in it as the villain. Sterling Hayden is in it, plays Henry Jack Pulitzer.
Tom,
yes.
Isn't also known as spaghetti western?
Yeah, in the United States it came out on DVD as spaghetti western.
Right.
This has Dick Butkus, the Chicago Bears football player, in it.
Now I know it's a party.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Emma Cohen from Cutthroats 9 is in it, but it's about Jack Onion Stark, played by Nero, has bought a piece of land on which to settle, but the property is still in possession of the orphans of the original owner and is coveted by the local oil baron, Petrus Lamb, played by Martin Balsam. The problem I have with this movie is it's a comedy, and the spaghetti western version, the dubbing is
comedy, Tom,
done in the voice of Jimmy Stewart. So Franco Nero sounds like Jimmy Stewart in this because he's dubbed.
You fellows go put down your guns.
It's like, he rides around on a bicycle and he eats onions.
Is it up there with the stranger and the gunfighter, Tom? Or
it's way above that as being worst. Yeah, it's one of the worst of all time.
Compared to Matalo and Little Rita,
it's right there.
You watch?
It's a
right
trio.
There?
That's a trio. Yes.
It's still. I have friends, and I know a lot of you out there who still think Little Rita is a not bad movie, and it's got Django in it. I think Tom's one of those little people, but I'm sorry. It's like Ethel Merman.
It's terrible.
Singing songs and just killing a film for me. I love Ethel, by the way. That's no business, but not in a spaghetti western.
And I can't believe they put that thing on Blu-ray. It's Blu-ray and DVD.
They did an interview with her. What do you think of it? Oh, it's my greatest work. But anyway, Tom, after Cry Onion, which we're all crying onion now, right, Tom?
Yep. Then we get
next?
back to your favorite, Keoma. He goes back to making a.
I reassessed Keoma, Tom. Like I said at the beginning, let me get the poster up there. I got one poster from Keoma, one, and I chose this one, Tom.
That's a good one.
German. I know everything is called Django. But not everything is called Keoma, Tom.
That's great.
So I like it because of the double barrel. It's got scenes from the movie. So you don't like the sketching. You don't like the artwork. Though this is my favorite. I don't. The
Yeah.
ones that are like two Polaroids are okay, but I'd rather.
Most of the time, you see the one where he's just standing there next to in a doorway with his arm up, resting, and it's just like a chest shot up. It's not it doesn't tell you anything. But this one's very good, and you can see the mining building in the back. They filmed this at Elios Studios, and Elios was falling apart. So that's the church that you see like in Sabata, and they just put that in front of it to cover up the church building. So they also used a lot of smoke and a lot of fog to cover up how bad the set was. But yeah, this is Keoma. It's like Django Returns type of thing.
But he has a beard this time.
Yep, long hair. Very preachy about the environment and stuff like that. So again, I don't know why it hasn't been played more recently.
Right.
But,
It just, as I said, I'm one of the people it didn't resonate with at first. It's not a knock on Nero at all. It's just in films in general.
Yep.
Where you watch a film and you come around later. What's a prime example of that? I was just watching a film. Anyway, it doesn't matter what it was. But I've come around on Keoma. It's like he's a little bit dirtier and grimier and muddier than I would, for a long time. Get off the floor,
Yep. Well, we talked about it because William Berger's in this. Woody Strode's in it, plays his buddy George with the bow and arrow.
We call him Bill Berger, Tom.
Bill Berger.
Yeah.
But there's some great stunt work in this one. I mean, it's a decent film.
Yeah, we've talked about it. We've reviewed it, but I've reassessed it just like I reassessed the Winnetou films, Tom. There is a couple of the Karl Mays I was offered. Beautiful print, but it's not my cup of tea. I saw a little fantasy element inside of it, but I watched about 10, 15 minutes. It's one in the Incas.
Yeah.
Not a bad film for what it is.
Treasure of the Incas.
Can't classify it as spaghetti western, Tom.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Filmed in South America. Then it's a two-parter. There's another one.
I let in the Winnetous. I let them in, Tom. 6 or 7 films. I let them in. They could join the spaghetti western archives, but I
told Jay the next one he has to,
because it was in a mountain. Not really too many people were dressed. Well, there was a couple, I think, Spanish actors who had a sombrero, but for the most part, I left it out. I got 500 plus spaghetti westerns on either, as I said, Super A, Blu-ray, DVD, Betamax, VHS, 4th generation boots that I've kept for 30 years in a refrigerated environment, Tom. And then when they need to be baked, you send them out. Some guy cleans them and fixes them. So that's why when we come back, our next show in 2 weeks, Tom, is hard to find spaghetti westerns that they only played maybe for a week in Spain or Italy or France. And then they never got distributed. Maybe they showed up on Turkish television or Greek TV with the Greek subtitles. But I'm looking forward to it, Tom, because that's what I love.
There's one, Chrysanthemums for a Bunch of Swine, that
I have that, Tom.
Apparently was made, but apparently was never released.
No, so. the director's 90. He's Guido Sanduccio.
That's the priest on
hold on
Saturday
to the
Night Live,
copy.
yeah.
I have it. So no, that's what I do, Tom. I collect hard to find, the ones that aren't released, and I got them. Years and years of trading, which is a dead thing now, especially now. So whatever you have, whatever collectible that you collect, memorabilia, souvenir, hold on to them. Put them in glass jars, because it's going to be tough for the next couple of years with this craziness that's going on to collect. I used to love going to estate sales, Tom, and you walk with your hands behind your back, and you just a house filled with memorabilia or collectibles or souvenirs. And I used to go, and I can't do that anymore, Tom. So I got to stay home with the wife and kid and do these shows with the great Tom Betts.
There we go. Stay up late night. Downloading.
Right, like the CBS movie from the 70s, Tom.
There you go.
What was the next film, Tom?
Well, the next one we get away from the Westerns a bit is called Mexico in Flames. And don't ask me too much about this. I've seen it once years ago when I was working. I pulled into a little mall, a strip mall, and in front of a video store, and they had a poster on the window Franco Nero in a Western hat. And I said, what the heck is that? And I wrote it down, Mexico in Flames. I had never heard of it, went back and researched it. And this is the first part of a two-part film exploring the Mexican and Russian revolutions. It's very similar to like Old Gringo with Gregory Peck and Reds with Warren Beatty. So it's more of a Mexican Revolution film than it is a Western. He plays a writer and gets involved with the revolution. And it's on DVD. Also called Red Bells. And that's where the Reds come in with Warren Beatty. So
I'm going to admit something, Tom. 500 spaghetti westerns.
have
It's
it.
probably not that difficult to get.
Well,
I
I'm
don't
sure
have
you
it. It's
can.
not something I'd want in my collection.
Nope. Ursula Andress is in it. George Luke.
Oh, wait a minute. Did you say Ursula Andress?
Ursula Andress.
I might have to get it, Tom.
Jorge Reynoso. I mean, it's
Are
got
you
a pretty
kidding?
good cast, but
The
it's
Sensuous
a
Nurse. I
revolutionary
saw
film.
that on the Z Channel, Tom. Z Channel was this before streaming, before Netflix, from
I remember that.
1974, out here in Los
Yep.
Angeles, and in Southern California, there was a channel called the Z Channel, and for about at least they were in their heyday for 10 years, I'd say 74 to 84. Then I think they closed shop around 89. But those first 10 years, this guy, I forgot his name, you could look for Magnificent Obsession documentary, put together this library of uncut films, like the 4-hour version of the Christopher Walken Days of Heaven, Tom. Movies that got panned, Michael Cimino films, The Godfather, complete, uncut. The reason I bring this all up, Tom, is that this is where else outside of local television where you could see spaghetti westerns or an uncut Cat Ballou or whatever. Name another one, Tom. Sam Fuller's westerns. Stuff like that, where you could see. So when I was 14 and 15, Tom, I got introduced. Well, I saw them earlier, but I was able to see them on the Z Channel, Tom.
There you go.
Anyway,
Didn't that guy commit suicide that owned
he
that?
did something bad. All geniuses do, Tom. But if you want, you can come over and keep me from doing.
I remember the story, and it has some relation with spaghetti westerns. I'm going to have to check it out. Maybe we can talk about it next time we have the show.
What's that, Tom?
About the guy that started the Z Channel and
oh yeah, we can do
problems.
that.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's
but
part
the point
of
is he released a lot of rare stuff, including
Right.
spaghetti westerns.
Yep.
Okay, Tom, what came next?
Then the only sequel to Django official came out, Django Strikes Again in 1987, also called Django 2 and Django Rides Again. This time it was directed by Ted Archer.
I like
it
Django
takes place
Strikes
in
Again, Tom.
South America. This one is a little bit involved. His wife, Django is now a monk, and he's serving penance in a.
Who isn't? Rambo's a monk. They're all a monk.
Yeah, exactly. He's in a monastery down in Mexico, and his so-called wife, or the girl at least he had a daughter with, comes and tells him that he has a daughter, and she's been captured by this German who runs a prison camp, with basically for his gold mine. And so Franco gets out of the monastery, puts his Django uniform back on, goes to the cemetery and digs up his machine gun and goes after to save his daughter. But Donald Pleasance is in it, plays Ben Gunn. The bad guy or the villain is Christopher Connolly, plays Orlowski or El Diablo. And also we talked about a little bit because William Berger is in the opening scene of the German release, and it's always cut in the other releases where he has a duel with another gunfighter, and they're talking about who is the greatest gunfighter of all time. And Berger says, it was Django. And the other guy says somebody else, like Billy the Kid or whatever. So they have a gunfight over this, and then the actual movie starts. Crazy.
That is hilarious, Tom.
But I like it, really. I like the movie. There's a lot of action in it.
One of these
more
days,
modern day Rambo type of film. That's what
I think we're going to get more into your stories also, Tom, that you have, perhaps in later episodes. The great Tom Betts, ladies and gentlemen. I'll have to insert clapping,
yeah, right,
and a standing O at a later time.
But this
Anyway,
one's on
Tom,
DVD,
so
you can check it out.
Oh, nice. Anything else to show of Mr. Nero's?
Well, then we go to Jonathan of the Bears,
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
1994.
Wait a minute. Is that the last one, Tom?
No, we got one more after that. Well, that's the last official one. I've got a couple more we'll
No,
talk
Jonathan
about.
of the Bears is as far as I go, Tom.
Okay, that's 1994,
Oh, but
directed
we
by
know what? We
Enzo
forgot Pride and
Castellari.
Vengeance, Tom. Let's do Pride and Vengeance.
I don't call that
Pride
a
and
Western.
Vengeance. Yeah.
I don't have that because it was filmed, it was made, it concerned Spain. It's not the United States.
Man, Pride,
And
and
Vengeance.
Vengeance, Tom. I
Takes
forgot
place
to
in
mention it's a
Spain.
great
Go
poster,
ahead.
by the way.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Do you hate this like Modelo, Tom?
No, it's just not in a Western. He's dressed as like a Western character. They ride
Okay,
horses.
Tom, yo.
and
You
make
got to
it look like a
understand this.
Western.
If I bring in Carl May and Winnetou and Zorro, then anything with Nero, the beautiful, gorgeous, top 10 chick of all time on my list, Tina
No,
freaking Mont.
she was a pain in the ass in this.
Right, who's the Dawn Wells of spaghetti Western.
Yep.
Oh, was she hot? Anyway, so, and she still is, isn't she? Or did she just pass, Tom?
I think she's passed now.
Oh,
Not
man.
recently, but I think
Tom,
so.
the
Yeah.
posters itself make it spaghetti Western
Oh
in my
yeah,
eye.
exactly.
And the fact that Nero is in it.
Kinski.
So I would have to call it that. But you're right. It's categorized that because it falls into a certain.
It's like Trinity Sees Red, Jay. That takes place in Spain also, but they throw it in with the Western movies. Yep.
Okay, so I leave it at so then the last one that I actually join in on, Tom. I didn't include any of his 10-minute shorts.
Okay.
But I did include Jonathan LeBert.
Yeah, this is sort of like Keoma, updated Keoma, and this one is involved again with Jonathan Kowalski. They got to put a European name on him. Played by Nero, witnesses the murder of his parents as a child, but was able to flee into a bear cave where he was ultimately found by a local tribe of Indians. The Indians adopt the boy and treat him like one of their own, but Kowalski is determined to track down the murderers of his parents. The arrival of money-hungry oil baron Goodwin, played by John Saxon, who wishes to exploit the sacred land of the Indians, interferes with Kowalski's quest. I always call it a Keoma sequel. It's on DVD. John Saxon, Floyd Crow Westerman, who was in Dances with Wolves, is in it. David Hess and Bobby Rhodes. But it's a decent movie, but it's like Keoma light.
And I couldn't. Can't get past 5 minutes, Tom.
The other ones I was going to name real quick was that he did one in 2016 called Along the River. It's an Italian short with no one else that you recognize other than Franco Nero plays Sheriff Frank DeVille. It's about a well-known and respected sheriff, DeVille, played by Nero, in a New Mexico town. He has to investigate a murder case brought to him by a cynical lawyer. During the investigation, he will have to face a complicated situation involving his son. Then there's another one, if you want to check it out, called The Ultimate Pistolero, which has Nero and Nero only. And it just shows him in a warehouse walking around, listening to sounds, and then he takes a shot at a particular place, and the bullets ricochet around and shoot and kill him. And so basically it's a way of him committing suicide because he's been around too long. He's outgrown modern civilization. But he's dressed in a duster and a hat, has a Colt 45. And then they use parts of music from Fistful of Dollars in it.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. That was the spaghetti westerns and a few others.
We got one more to bring up, which we don't know is going to happen or not. There's a film called Django Lives that's been around since 2016. Mike Malloy, Eric Zaldivar, myself have been involved in. And this is another one that comes and goes, and you hear updates, and then it dissolves. But last week, Franco mentioned in a Variety interview that they are supposed to start filming in New Orleans on this at the end of January. Now, I don't believe that because of the COVID, but it was supposed to start last June in New Orleans. So at least it's still alive. It's supposed to be directed by a guy named Christian Alvart, and John Sayles is writing the screenplay. Other than Franco being in it, I don't know of anybody else. And that's the last of any Western that I know of he's involved in.
Okay. Well, I heard of one that came out soon. It was Django versus Tom Betts. Tom Betts, he was a man.
There's one they talked about, the Badlanders, that him and Castellari have kicked around for at least 10 years. And every spaghetti Western actor of note that was still alive was supposed to have been in it. But they passed away now. Milian died, Bud Spencer died. So who's going to be
They're all
left?
dying, Tom.
They
We got to
ever
get them
off
on the show.
Yeah, right. So I don't know about that. If we'll ever see it or not, who knows?
Well, anyway, that was a great, I think, tribute to the one and only Franco Nero and Django, as well as some other great stuff. I mean, we didn't even talk about he's made some great spy films, giallos,
Everything.
action
War
movies.
films.
He's a star, international star,
International
not
star.
just spaghetti westerns.
Yep.
So, anyway, just so that basically, we want to thank him for making so many great films. As Tom takes a shot of the ale, I think with a shot of vermouth.
Crisp apple, hard cider.
Okay, crisp apple. I keep forgetting. So anyway, just to remind all of you what you're watching, it's the Once Upon a Time in Spaghetti Westerns podcast. I'm Jay Jennings, Spaghetti Westerns collector, and the man in in the little box to my left. He's like a little gnome. And hi, Tom. Is the great Tom Betts, Spaghetti Westerns historian. I think the premier one on the planet, but that's up for debate, right, Tom?
Nope.
Okay. Anyway, so let's get back to what we were discussing, Tom. It's time for some other subjects that we have, and we usually have them in a row. We usually do, what is it, Tom?
The book of the week.
And then what else do we do, Tom?
Album of the week.
Followed by?
Autograph of the week.
Rounded out by?
The WAI Vault.
Before Tom ultimately does?
The weekly news. That's if they're still awake by that time, yeah.
Tom is the Walter Cronkite of Spaghetti Westerns. I just thought of that. Thank you. Anyway, Tom, did you see the? I don't have it with me, or I would put it up for the holidays. Did you get your Blondie Betts T-shirt?
I got to no. I'm going to talk to you later about that.
You didn't get one?
No, I didn't get a Blondie T-shirt. I got something else.
Okay. Well, we could take it off the market if you're unhappy about it, Tom.
No. I got something else for you.
Okay.
I got to wait till it actually shows up. I got to actually. Well, I'll show it. I'll tell you later.
Okay, good. I love Tom's surprises. Sometimes he shows up with a double barrel pointed at me. You never know. Anyway, let's start with book of the week. And
wait a minute.
You want to go first, or I'll go first?
Yeah,
Tom?
I don't care.
Okay, I'll go first, Tom. My book of the week is. It's a good one. Tom, I think you have it in your library.
Yes.
Once Upon a Time in Italy.
Mine's autograph. That's the
Sir
one I've got Claudia
Christopher.
Cardinale's autograph in it.
Oh.
And Alessandroni's autograph, yes.
What I like about this one is, and this is not a criticism, what we always talk about, the great Sir Christopher. Mm-hmm. He's not too preachy or lectury in this one.
No.
Like in other books, like some of the thicker tomes, which I enjoy. It's a good reading. It's just if you feel you're in a scholarly mood, you got 2 hours to kill, go to your local library, put on the headphones and enjoy. But this is a friendly read where you learn about the history of Leone's Spaghetti Westerns in a nice, more from a fan's point of view, Tom.
Right. This was put out when they did the Leone exhibit at the Autry Museum in 2005. And so it's all based on what he was able to accumulate for the exhibit and a history of the films and stuff like that. So it's more, like you said, it's much more fan-friendly. Pictures from the exhibit. He told me when we went out to dinner, a friend of mine, Don Bruce, has had the clapboard from the shots of Once Upon a Time in the West when they were in Monument Valley.
Nice.
And so he donated that to Christopher for the exhibit. And then Christopher was telling us about getting the poncho from Clint and the boots and stuff like that. When they went to visit Clint, he said that he wanted to borrow the poncho, and Clint said, "Sure." I said, "Well, where is it?" He says, "I don't know. I think it's in a duffel bag in the back room under the bed." You know, oh, so they went back there and looked. Sure enough, it was in a duffel bag under the bed in the back bedroom. So they got that. But they were going to bring the Carriage of the Spirits. That was in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, where they found the dying soldier.
Right.
They were going to bring that. They were going to bring the buckboard that Claudia and Sam went out to the ranch on. And the Autry said, no, we were afraid it'll have wormwood and it'll spread to the other
We don't want
artifacts.
wormwood, Tom.
So they wouldn't let them bring it over. So they were limited on what they could show.
Right.
So he's had 2 or 3 other exhibits in France and Italy and Germany that he's been able to show some of that stuff because there's not a problem.
You'll never see it again.
No.
So what's your book of the week, Tom?
I should have brought this out before, but it's called International Westerns.
Wow.
Relocating the Frontier. The reason I say that, Jay, is it's got an essay in here, and it's sort of like Mike House's tomes. It's this collection of essays in here by different authors, and one of them is someone we had as a guest, which is Lee Broughton, and he's got an essay in there. It came out in 2014 by Scarecrow Press. It's in English for a change, and it's edited by Cynthia J. Miller and A. Bodoin Van Ripper. So
cool.
It's available.
Oh, God. You know what I forgot to do? I'm going to do it now. I don't care.
Do it.
I don't care. You've just watched.
You just watched. There you go.
That is terrible.
I could have done that
actually, if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't have done that.
Well,
but anyway,
do it after album of the week, and everybody would be scratching their head, going,
"That was ridiculous on my end." Anyway, so let's move on to our next one, Tom, which usually you do solo because I don't have quite the collection that you do. So I let you take full.
You should start bringing your CDs out.
Yeah, everybody has the CDs. Yeah, what's our LP of the week, Tom? Our album?
Probably a lot of people have this one.
Show it again, Tom. There you go. That's pretty cool.
As you can see, it's a real expensive one, $1.99 I got from Music Mart.
From KTEL.
It's called Les Milieux Musique des Films d'Ennio Morricone. Ennio Morricone's best movie soundtracks. Came out in 1980 by Sunset, which is a minor label, LS 50-248. The reason I got it has Navajo Joe, The Big Gun Down, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Death Rides a Horse, which you couldn't find on anything. It's got 15 tracks. The value of it today is $8.
That's not too much, Tom.
Nope.
But good luck finding it, right?
Probably everybody's got it. You know, it's not anything rare.
No, remember KTEL?
Yeah, sure.
KTEL was the 60s, 70s, low budget. I guess, I'm sure they were part of a bigger company, but they put out these cheap albums. KTEL presents hits of the 50s.
DVD and videos too.
And videos too. Yep. And it was really cheap. And so that looked like a KTEL album.
Well, those are the type, Jay, you'd probably find at Sears or J.C. Penney's or something, Gemco, like you said, something
Gemco,
like that.
Gemco, Fedco, Ronco.
Yeah. Zodi's, Whitefront, they're not going to be at the record stores. They're going to be at the discount stores.
Right. Now, Tom, for Autograph of the Week, you promised me you would not go into the Woodland Hills
That's right.
Old Actors Age Home.
I'm done with that book.
Okay, Tom. Tom's going to go first on Autograph of the Week. What do we got?
Can you see it?
Of course I can, Tom.
Mark Damon says to Tom, love spaghetti Western fans, Mark Damon.
Wow. You know what makes...
Ollie Lamage got that for me because he interviewed him for one of the Wild East DVD releases.
Oh, Tom, what a cool.
And then I saw him at the Spaghetti Western convention we did 10 years ago, 8 years ago.
Tom, we must have had a psychic link today.
You have Mark Damon too?
Well, check this out.
Yeah.
He was, I was, during the days I was still as a working director, but in between shoots, you would help a couple buddies out if they needed a cameraman. They'd throw you a 50 spot, which is demeaning as hell. But hey, dude, can you can you shoot this? It's a snuff film. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, no, I've had friends, people in the business, authors, people who host stuff, ask me for an hour if I would hold an iPhone. And to me, it's like Orson Welles doing it, Tom. Sure, young man, just hand me the phone.
Sure.
So I did this for a friend of mine, and I photographed Mark Damon and Roger Corman were at a screening and a night at the Aero Theater of I think one of the Poe Corman films.
Right.
And I think Mark Damon, I'm not sure if it's a Pit and Pendulum, I forget which one it is. So he was there, and plus he produced a lot of these. And Mark Damon's a producer as well.
Right, right.
So he was there to talk about his career. So of course afterwards I met him. Was a minor fan at the time, but still, you know me. What I always tell you, Tom, I always have index cards or little 3x5 shreds of paper and 2 pens in my inside pocket. How many people live like that, like a lunatic?
For sure. You gotta take advantage
never know. And this is pre-phones.
Sure.
Well, I had the phone then, but most of the time when I got an autograph from a celeb from age 12 till now, you had to have a couple pens and an index cards just to hand it to them. You couldn't have a photo. It would be stupid. Where are you going to keep it? Anyway, so Mark Damon, I know I milked the hell out of this, was at this speak and greet. I met him, got out the piece of paper, said, I'm more of a fan of Johnny Yuma than any of this shit. And he laughed, signed it, and that was that. So since then...
have you ever seen him again?
No.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You've got one chance maybe to see
that's
these people.
That's why I'm so proud of myself, Tom.
Yeah,
I give a pat on my back.
Sure.
To having the guts and chutzpah, as we say, to go up to these celebrities, but in our case, spaghetti Western stars, and just say, hey, I really dug you in this, like we did for Steve Reeves.
Yep.
Long Ride from Hell. Yeah, you were great as Hercules, but this is what we really dig you for. Anyway, let's get to my autograph of the week that took about 8 minutes to talk about. It's my Mark Damon that I got personally, Tom. Here it is, and it's Frank. Whoa, no. Sorry, Tom. Last minute, I changed it.
Oh, you changed it. Okay. Was it Roger Corman?
I get this whole buildup of about Mark Damon, and it's him in Johnny Yuma holding a gun at one of the locations, and it says best wishes. I'll show it when we get back. That'll be for my next week or 2 weeks from now. No, Tom, the closest spaghetti Western that Burt Lancaster did was The Professionals. Yeah, hello.
There you go. All right.
What do you want me to sign? Birdman Alcatraz? The Killers? No, I want you to do the closest thing to the, that you were, The Professionals. I remember that film well. Why am I laughing?
Well, you could have gotten Valdez. Valdez is coming.
So he was making a movie with Kirk Douglas. This is how you get classic people to sign. Of course, I wasn't around in 69 or 70 to get this signed.
Yep.
He was promoting, you get these, I've said this on previous shows, Tom. You get these legends, and up until the last 10, 15 years of their life, Burt Lancaster, Kirk Douglas, all in person, 20 years ago. You go to something that they promoted later in life, Tom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
With Kirk Douglas, he was doing, maybe he was doing one of his books before that, or it was something. But Burt Lancaster made this movie. Maybe it was with Kirk Douglas called Tough Guys, Tom?
Oh, yeah, with Eli Wallach, sure. Great
Wasn't
film.
that in the 90s or something?
Yeah, it was
or 80s?
Fantastic. Yep.
This was a promo screening for Tough Guys. Where am I going to meet Burt Lancaster, who is in all my Crisscross? He's in all my favorite film noirs, which, I'm a huge collector, too. I have more film noir than I do spaghetti Western, Tom. That's all I'm going to say about that, because I love film noir. Anyway, when I put these autographs together, Tom, you know how hard it is not to put these autographs together, professionally done. in a film that they're known for. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Why would you
Yep.
pick something obscure as The Professionals? Because that's
Right.
why.
Yep.
Marlon Brando, I have. It was the Missouri Breaks or One Eye Jacks. Why wouldn't you put him as the Godfather? Why wouldn't you put him as Colonel Kurtz with that autograph? I thought
Yeah.
about it, but I run a spaghetti western
Well, yeah.
museum,
It's
Tom.
personal taste. Yeah.
It has to be, right. So anyway, there's The Professionals. Here you go, Jay. Oh my
Very
God.
good. Very good.
So that was a fun day, and then his security wished me away. But
Mhm.
anyway, I like The Professionals, Tom.
Oh, I love it. It's a great movie.
Okay, Tom. I'm sorry. I actually thought I had Mark Damon. My bad.
It's all right.
So anyway, from the vaults of Western All'Italiana uh, magazine, which has now is a blog and is also Tom's Facebook page. You can go there anytime. Posters, reviews, birthdays, obits. It's fantastic. Tom is one of the people who are keeping the spaghetti western genre and lore alive. And these are the parts of our episode where Tom reaches back into the vault, circa 85, Tom,
Or before.
or before, and pulls out an issue or a focus or a spotlight that they had in one of the issues, kind of a flashback, Tom, to
Well,
when you were,
it
what you
just
have the
shows how
title.
kind of stuff we collected over the years from fans and stuff we found.
The typesetting, the cutting and the
Yeah,
pasting.
it
That's
may
what
have
I love.
been
I
in
love to see
issues
how you
that
put the title page together, Tom. So what do you
I'll
got
do
for
that.
this week?
I'll do that at the next show we have because you've got most of the originals. I sent them to you, but I've got a
Yep.
few. You might want to bring one out. Anyways, besides all the cutting and pasting of the TV guides and reviews that we could find, this week I pulled out Bad Kids of the West. I mean, we probably talked about this in the episode. We did 2 issues of the worst spaghetti westerns, and this is right in there. This is in the top 5. But some of the stuff that I collected over this is a little ad mat there. Believe it or not, Jay, they actually put a full page ad in Variety in 1974 for this piece of trash. Also, people would send us copies of video covers from different countries. So we would keep those and use them for photos. There's another one. Jay would love this because he's pointing the pistol right at him. And that's what I've got for that. But I've got something, Jay, I'm sure you don't have, poster-wise. I saved this one for best for last. German
Uh-oh.
German poster, and he's pointing a gun. Why don't you have this?
Well, Tom, let me tell you why. I've seen it. I could have picked it up for peanuts, but it just doesn't do anything for me, Tom. I don't see any
Like the
artistic.
movie?
No, I look for art, Tom, and I don't think a kid aiming a gun at a guy's nuts.
Okay. Change your definitions. Okay.
There's a couple of spaghetti western Toms, the real kind, right, Tom?
Yep.
Where the star in the poster is pointing at a guy's nuts, Tom. You know, or underneath.
Yep.
I never understood that. Why? We don't need that kind of poster. Anyway, Tom, that's it from the vaults?
That's it from the vault this week.
Oh, that was quick.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so let's get back. Oh, now I'm on this side. Now I'm on that side, Tom. It's very strange. I think I like the other side better. So anyway, technical directing live on the show, folks. So I know we have Tom's weekly news coming up, but remember, Tom, I like to do that last.
Sure.
So I'd like to thank the groups who allow me to promote this show on their page on Facebook. Thank you very much to all the moderators. The Spaghetti Western groups on Facebook. We have Tom's own Westerns All'Italiana, the sponsor of the show. 800 Spaghetti Westerns in Spain. Once Upon a Time in Italy. Spaghetti Westerns with John Delaney in the beard. Spaghetti Western movie posters. Il Miglio del Western All'Italiana. Of course, our Blu-ray friends at Spaghetti Westerns Unchained. Fanatiques de Western Spaghetti, Opera of Valencio. And of course, our two buddies, Hulk Janoon and Hideko Uno, who always loan us some of their clips. Even when I don't ask them, here, Jay, take clips. Okay, Uno, I'll do it. Anyway, so that's why I got lots of clips, Tom.
Good.
Lots of clips
Keep
for
them
future
coming.
shows. And where would we be, Tom, without Seb
Yep.
and the SWDB? You see our logo or part of our banner up there. And we thank you, Seb, for all your contributions to the world of spaghetti westerns. And you need your top 20 lists, films, books, DVDs, reviews, pictures, forums, the Hall of Fame, obits by Tom Betts, other articles written by top people in the spaghetti western genre, your 1-2 go-to, Spaghetti Westerns database. You got this podcast. You got Tom's Westerns all'Italiana. You got a lot of other great pages out there that I would just do a Google search, Spaghetti Westerns group, and these will all pop up, and you can just spend your time during this national nightmare.
That
And
never
just
ending.
spend your time in immersing yourself in spaghetti westerns. Okay, I guess now it's time for wait for it, Tom. Wait for it, Tom.
The weekly news. Okay, we've got a new German book release that came out called Via con Dios by Michael Choliwa. It's published by Subversive Media. It's in German with 404 pages. It's released on December 11th, 2020. The author attempts to summarize all films belonging to the genre and depict them with associated artwork such as posters and video covers and DVD covers. It's expensive. It's like 50 euros. If you bought it here in the States, it'd probably cost you another 50 euros to ship it over here. So I've declined to buy a copy at this point. Also, we have Sarah Vista will be doing a live solo Facebook performance on Roots in the Jar Online Music Festival this coming Sunday, December 20th at 9 p.m. UK time. That's 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can go to her Facebook and get a link and check it out on Sunday. Birthdays, we have no passings this week. That's a miracle. Birthdays, we have Ann Hagel's birthday was on the 15th. Lisa Montez turned 86 on the 15th. She was in Texas Adios, Return of the Seven. Alex Cox turned 66 on the 15th, known for Straight to Hell. Jenny Agutter turned to 68 on the 20th. She was in China 9, Liberty 37. And like I said before, today marks the 50th anniversary of the premiere of Companeros in Rome, Italy. Shout outs, we just want to say Feliz Navidad, Buon Natale, Frohe Weihnachten, Joy Noel. I'm going to say this in Japanese, Merry Christmas, and also Merry Christmas to everyone out there. And we thank you for watching us this whole week, half a year. And we hope to have you back after the holidays. Thanks much. That's all the end of the weekly news, Jay.
Wow, Tom. That was fantastic, as always.
Like my Japanese?
Konnichiwa, Tom. Or domo arigato.
Uh-huh.
So that's the weekly news, which I enjoy, which I told you. There's a poll taken that YouTube takes. What's your favorite segment? And I said, really, mine's the autographs, but it's always Tom's segments, always lead off. But anyway, Tom, so once again, we're going to say we've got a 2-week, I guess, hiatus. So that would be, what are the dates on that, Tom?
Next week is the 25th and then the 1st.
Okay, so Christmas
and
New Year's we will be
both
off
fall on Friday.
Right? So we'll see you, I guess, in, what is it, 3 weeks, Tom?
3 weeks. That would be what, the 8th? January
Something
8th?
like that, where I think we will tackle hard-to-find spaghetti westerns. I won't call them lost, because they're not lost. They're just hard to find in either the U.S. or European or Asian market. Good luck finding it. If you have it, hold on to it and enjoy it, because these are the hard-to-find ones, Tom. So
Well,
happy. Yes, Tom.
The viewers should send us anything that they think of. They may come up with something that we don't.
Well, actually, we'll do that
know
live,
of.
Tom.
Yeah,
When we
we'll
have
do
the
that
show,
live,
we'll
okay.
ask you what your hard to find one is, and
Well,
Tom
the
will
one you've been
find
looking
it
for. Yeah, exactly.
for a very high substantial fee.
Yeah.
You want Little Rita uncut without Little Rita? Tom knows where. So anyway, folks, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Stay safe, and your dynamic duo of the Spaghetti Westerns, Tom Betts and Jay Jennings, will be back in 2 weeks, or in 3 weeks actually.
3 weeks.
Right, for episode 32, Hard to Find Spaghetti Westerns. So, Tom, what do we always say to everybody?
Adios, amigos. Merry Christmas.
Adios, amigos. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And stay safe, and we'll see you in 3 weeks on the Once Upon a Time in Spaghetti Westerns podcast. Adios.
Adios, companeros.